who is Justen Gordon to me and who is he to Properman? He's definitely the heartbeat, definitely a lot of energy, a youthful energy, like a punk rock, strong heart, a very big supporter. Like he's the guy who I'll be going through my days and, you know, kicking the dirt and feeling sorry for myself and ding, I love you, brother. And it happens all the time. Justen's that guy who's just really kind of lifting people up, putting everyone else before him. Even when I tell him he's got to be quiet, he gets mad at me, but he gets a bit quieter because he's hitting a little bit too hard. Just a beautiful, beautiful person. At that point too, going through the drummer thing, I was at the point where I was almost ready to stop. It just life. I've got, you know, 3 little girls and a son and a marriage and trying to run whatever it is I'm running all the time and just getting really beat down. But when he came in, he definitely gave me some energy. I like to do things for other people. And having seen him come into the band and falling in love with the band and watching the band all lift up, it gave me the energy to put a lot into it to keep building what I was doing for them, because that's where I get my energy, is helping other people have fun or build them, right? So yeah, he's the band, he saved the band. He did, Justen saved the band. And he does a very good drum solo. But tell him to keep his shirt on, because it gets ugly.
Drummer.
Yeah.
In a band.
Yeah.
Founded by 2 drummers.
I know. To accept that when they brought me in was, I don't know if it was the gin and tonics or if it was just maybe, you know, I was really wanted to get back into a band. It was.
Do they give you notes? Like, do they like, or was it just one of those things where the audition process of who we're going to put behind that kit was just a couple different magnifying glasses and all that? And when they found you, that was it, or was there rough water along the way?
It's a kind of a weird story. I'll give a Reader's Digest because I also want to protect those who came before me in the band.
Sure.
Not that they need protection. It's just that, you know, as you heard, the line was on stage is, you know, Travis and I are and, you know, all these other drummers quit. And there was some ins and outs. When Properman started 7 years ago, and Petri can talk to you more about this, and Jay can talk to you more about this, it was really Petri and Jay getting back together and spending time together and just making music. And so Properman never really had this identity of like, oh, we're going to be a band that's going to play shows. It was always like just a place to write music. But slowly but surely they got a few guys in the band, and all of a sudden it's like they had a band. But these drummers, for various reasons, and I know all of them, some better than others, and they're absolutely wonderful people. Like they really are. I know it almost sounds like I'm putting it on, but they really are. All these guys are A-class musicians, A-class people. It just didn't work out for one way or another. Yeah. I know that sometimes, and this is just, you know, I don't know if this should be in the interview or not, the speculation, but I know some drummers just want to do more jamming top 40 stuff. They're not really, when we perform, I got a computer up there and there's backing tracks, and so we're on rails the entire song. Yep. Like there is no room to be loose or be, you know, maybe spur of the moment, change some stuff up. So maybe that was it. I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe Jay is right. Maybe it was they were just or something. But for one reason or another, it didn't work. Now, it was late March in 2019.
Yep.
So, and Nori texted me because Nori and I have known each other. So, Slim
Where's
and
the
I,
connection there?
Where's Nori the connection and I started at Wentworth Music teaching drums in 2006.
Yep.
So that dude and I go
way back.
Decently back now, 18 years pretty much, right? So, him and I just formed into just being best friends. I'm very, very close with him and his brother Neil. I was in Neil's wedding, and they're just 2 salt-of-the-earth people. I just love them. Yeah. Anyway, so he texts me a couple years before this. It was 2017, 2016. He goes, hey, you want to be in Properman? I said, man, from all the touring and all the session work and all the other stuff I've done with my life, I just wasn't ready to get back into a band. I had been in a band before where when I left, it was given to me or told to me that everything was cool, but then it was not cool apparently. So there was just it ended up being an unfortunate situation with maybe some bad blood at the end of it. Not maybe, absolutely was, but it's unfortunate how it ended. I was told one thing and it was really another. And so I had some trust issues there. if I'm being perfectly honest and open. So I wasn't quite ready mentally, and I was really enjoying teaching. I was just having a blast with that. That was my thing. You know, I had an identity with it, really. Still do to this day. I just love going to work, and the teachers there call me insane because I teach, you know, most of them teach 30, 35 hours. I'm close to 45 hours a week just teaching. I just love it. Just drums, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just focus on that. That's my main thing.
What kind of students do you have? Like, what are the age ranges in the students that you have?
The age range of the students, my youngest student now is actually my niece, and I love her to death. She's 5. And so, like, I actually do teach at a young age. A few things that I've learned over time is just how to teach kids at a very young age and be able to use color coordination with notation so that they understand the notes. The notes aren't just these boring things on a line anymore. Yep. It's like, ooh, pink is snare drum. This drum, and yellow is crash, and different colors. So from 5 to, you know, well, 5 well into even some of the more advanced classes, sometimes it's just easier to read that way. But my youngest is 5. My oldest student is 68 years of age. So I mean, it's wide open. Bulk of my class, though, is anywhere between, you know, 12 and all the way up to 22, I would say. A lot of my students, maybe just with COVID recently, of course, and kids not moving off to college as much, yep. You know, they've stayed. And I really want to believe that that's a testament also to the connection that I've made with them, because a lot of them, parents are coming back to me and going, yeah, we thought he would be done at grade 12, and he's telling us, like, no, like, I'm going to go to, you know, the local college here, but I would really like to keep drum lessons going. And so that's a really cool thing, right? You know, when you have that kind of connection with these kids, and you're kind of really a big brother to them.
Yeah.
And I take huge pride into that. So that's just the community involvement in general. Coming back or circling back, when Nori texted me, it was March 30th, and he texted me, he goes, hey, you want to be in Properman? He's a second time. And I said, yeah, I actually want to give it a shot. I just was in a right place. Maybe it was the day, maybe it was whatever.
Now, did you know Jason
Maybe I had
at
a really
that
good
point,
Americano. I didn't. And this is my favorite part of the whole story. And it's really nothing crazy of a story. What's insane is I had done a recording on drums for a guy in the wine industry. Okay. And he had, very unfortunately, his sister had passed due to a situation. I'm sure you had heard about that. And it was a very sad situation. And Nori had told me about it, and he says he's written a song, and you just need drums laid to it. And so this was back, and I'm going to get the year wrong, probably it was maybe 2016, 2017.
Oh, wow.
And so I put drums to it. In a heartbeat, I said, yeah, I mean, that's, the story is, you know, the story, let alone just this guy, you know, I've always been passionate about people who want to bear their soul into anything. And so I said, yeah, instantly, yeah. Laid drums to it, put the track. Little did I know that was Jason.
Wow.
And so I meet Jason. We put the 2 and 2 together.
But he knew it was you that laid the drums for that
I believe
song,
so.
Right?
You should actually ask him. I'm pretty sure he did, because this guy knows everybody, right? Like Jay's that guy, right? So we go literally just over to Brown's Social House. He goes, hey, Justin, Jason, wanna, you know, meet you face to face. 45-minute lunch. I was in the middle of one of those crazy days, just like working 10 to 9 type of thing. Yeah. And it was 45 minutes that changed my life. I had never connected with a person, and I connect well with people. I do find that I do connect well with people. Yeah. Pride myself on that, because I feel like that's important, because we only get so many days on this earth. And
plus, when you're teaching, when you're like, how important is it?
Sure.
You're in a band. Like this is part of this is you know, the idea of men's mental health. I love the idea of talking to a band, because at the end of the day, you've got all these different perspectives, all these different personalities, these different things that when you mash them together well, it's harmony.
Yeah.
But what's the opposite of harmony when it's not like that, right? Like relationship 100%. Skills. Yeah. So
1000%.
And Jason is a connector too. He connects with people too. So
very much is.
I can imagine that lunch would have been
it was just the 3 of us. It was just Nori, Jason, and I, and it was just, the connection was just, it was crazy. He just comes in, and I love him to death. He's like one of my favorite human beings. He comes in, he's got this like very burly, like old sweater, and he comes in with his flat cap. And again, you got to remember, it's like I've been told, like, guy owns all these wineries. And he comes
wine
in,
mogul is about
to... kind of, right? Well, and that's what people, because I did look him up a little bit. I want to know who I'm meeting and who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
You know, being an academic, I do my research. So I come in, and he just comes in, he's got these tattoos, and he's just got these things, and I'm just like, This guy's just like the most down-to-earth person I've ever met. Yeah. Anyway, I just connected with him. It was like, I don't know, just like our minds, our hearts just went, and it was like, I left there going, I am 1,000% in that band.
Wow.
A few weeks later, we had a rehearsal. Yep. And let me tell you, like I've done rehearsals for artists and done tryouts to be on tours and played all these big things in studio session work in LA, for instance. I've done all of that. I've never been so nervous in my life for an audition because it meant something different. It was almost like I wanted to go in to respect Nori and respect Jason. I find out later when I get there, I'm like, oh, Travis actually was a part of a church that my wife had gone to for years. So Kristen had known him forever, and he had been a big player in the scene and stuff, and we had crossed paths a few times. And it was just like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, the only guy I actually had to fully meet was like Petri at the end of the day. And even that guy just was at his house last night. It's just like, when you talk about all these different personalities in the band, everybody in this band specifically would run in front of a bus for each other. And I know that's usually a dank way of explaining it, but it's for me, it's more of the chemistry is so genuine and so easy. Do we have our arguments? Yeah, most of the time it's just around song parts when we're putting our tracks together. That might be the most, but it's always just surface stuff. It's never like, nobody ever makes it personal. Nobody ever, because when it comes to the personal side of it, we're all there to look out for each other. At the end of the day, if someone's hurting in the band or someone's voice isn't being heard, the rest of us rally and go, no, speak, because this is important. And Jason is really a master at doing that. To extend the point, even with shows and how we've built this and how we've put this all together, Jason will even get approval on certain shows from the wives in the band. Wow. Because he doesn't, and he's explained it very detailed to me, he says he doesn't want this to be a band where it's band first, family second. It's family first, band second. It's a very simple process, but man, I'm telling you right now, I don't think there's a single band or artist out there that's doing, and if there is, forgive me, because I'm not trying to hate, I'm just saying, like, I had never seen that in all of my years playing, whether I was playing for a solo artist or whether I was playing in another band. I just never seen something where it was like so simple yet so consistent. The communication is very good with us. There's sometimes, Jason jokes that we do need a band manager, because I think it's getting to the point now with doing all of these shows and doing these new tracks. And
there's a momentum happening for this band.
Well, and that's just it, right? He wants to make sure that it's all in front of us and it makes sense. But this whole thing, I mean, he went out of his way to put our wives' pictures, got a photo shoot with them all, and our wives are up on the wall. Like, little things like that carry a bigger weight than anything musically. So when I get up on that stage, when I sit down and I put the first metronome on that TM6, when I hit that first note, and we're all bobbing back and forth because we're all freak shows, right? We're all a bunch of weirdos, and we're bobbing back and forth. I lock into this thing where I'm going to war with my 4 brothers, and we want to give every damn person in this room the time of their life. I will never show up and play a show half-assed, because if I do that, I shouldn't be in music.
I'm getting goosebumps. You smash those drums, and I love watching you smash those drums. And in the preparation for this, I've seen you guys perform probably a dozen times over this last 6 months.
Sorry about your hearing.
No, it's fantastic. I love it so much.
It's awesome.
Jay, a front man who started as a drummer. You, a drummer, started as a guitar player. So when did you know you wanted to be a drummer? Obviously, we're all in our progressions. You know, we try little things and they lead to other little things that lead to other little things that lead to the gold mine, to where we feel like we are. When I watch you on that stage, I see you being you in a purest form of some sort. We all have our different purest forms, husbands, fathers, whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But I see you, and you are literally being you in your purest form. It is very obvious watching you perform that's you just turned up to 11.
11, right? Yeah, totally.
When did you? How long did it take to go from guitar over to drum, and then to be locked in and going, I want to really go for this?
So I would have brought my mom to this interview, and she could have told you a bit of that insight, because the truth of the matter is that woman is one of my favorite people of all time. She's a saint. From the age of 3, I was ripping pots and pans. I was that drummer. I was that kid. Yeah. That's the story. I know you've probably heard that story a few times, but I really was just pulling everything and anything out of the thing, which is funny when, Dad got me this, and it was great. It was that Fender Red with the white on pickguard, Squire guitar. I was like, that was it. And for a little while, I was like, man, this is really cool. Like, I could do stuff, and I got into it, and I was like, I'm not feeling this. It probably because I couldn't smash it. I mean, let's be honest. So my dad, when he pulled out this kit, now this kit was I think it was 1973 Ludwig drum kit. Yeah. The toms used to be old double snares. I mean, this drum kit was trash on trash. Yeah. That being said, it was mine. Yep. When he put that in the room, my dad, both my parents, absolutely loving. I grew up with everything you could ask for, with love and care and attention and everything else. I'm very fortunate. I know being in the industry I'm in with teaching, that's just doesn't happen as much as it absolutely should nowadays. Mm-hmm. My dad caught on pretty quick, wasn't vibing with it. Okay, that's cool. Let's get in this drum kit. This is all we got right now. We didn't grow up with a ton of money. What we had instead was values and love and everything else. And so that's where, for me, that was way better than any, I had friends in $1 million mansions and they had way less than I did. Yeah. The way I look at it. And that's always the way I've looked at it.
There's been a theme along this so far already. The ability to recognize and to hear each other. You talk about it in the band. We want to make sure that the people in the band hear. Yeah. You think about your dad, who didn't just try and shoehorn you into something he wanted you to be into. Exactly. He heard you. Yeah. And I think that is an example as men that we, I know it's an example for men in marriage. They've written volumes of books and books and books about how men, when it comes to relationships with our wives, that sort of thing, be good at just listening. 2 ears, one mouth. Sure. Don't just try and steamroll, right? No, totally. And it sounds like you came from an environment and still have perpetuated an environment for others where hearing the other person is extremely important. Absolutely. It sounds like that's very important to you.
My parents were the type where I was very fortunate to excel in math and science. I could have gone to university for med school. And my parents were like, just do something you're happy and something that makes you happy. And so I ended up going for music instead, which a lot of parents would just be like, are you insane?
Yeah, how do you monetize
Your
that?
kid could have been making, $400,000 a year, having a terrible social life and whatever, no offense to doctors, they're wonderful people, thank you. But not being happy, because
it's not you. It's not
but it's just not who I was. Just because I may be good at something, it doesn't mean you need to pursue it or something. And case in point, I was good at drums, but the thing was, at the end of the day, they knew what made me happy. So, when my dad got me the drum kit, and this is going to age me a bit or make some people older than me mad, and you can tell Jay I said this. My first album was Big Shiny Tunes 2. That's all I had at the time. So I put it on, and I put it down, and I put the CD player. I had the little ghetto blaster, and I had to put it up on the windowsill and move my drums in such an awkward position. My room was a mess. Parents are cool with it, I hope, but I had the ghetto blaster right next to my head, and this is probably where and I'll never forget Song 2 by Blur.
Awesome.
And I'm just like, yes. And it was just like, at that point, it was off. And then it was album after album after album. And it was just nonstop. In Salmon Arm, which is where I was at the time, growing up. Small town British Columbia. Yep. Not really any music teachers. I had some band teachers, a couple guys that were really nice guys, but I don't know. They didn't really do much with the percussion side of stuff. It was always like, oh, you're insane. You go to the back there and play some drums and hit a triangle or something. And so it was really just self-taught right off the rip. So the first I'm trying to quantify. It's been so long now, trying to figure this out. Maybe the first 8 years of my life was just all self-taught, just nonstop. Now, my dad was in some churches and organizations and stuff, and I did get opportunities to play with churches and bands and stuff. And because
a lot of good musicians inside some of those churches too.
100%. Oh, 1,000%, really. So that was really where I got my start to play, and it was like, I just loved playing. Yes. I do not find myself, and I don't know if this is too much information needed or not, I don't find myself a religious person in any way, shape, or form. Yeah. I'm really I'm anti-religion in a lot of ways, because I feel like people should have free will to choose for themselves and be who they want to be. It just doesn't fit in line with the rest of my thinking. I will say this though, my parents always understood that and never pushed that on me personally. So it was always a safe place for me just to play, whether it was rock music or maybe like Newsboys or DC Talk, which was some Christian rock, which they were cool with either. They were always just supportive.
They were
At the end of the day, so my mom was the biggest saint in the world because she was like, she would just be like, yeah, just play. So when I'm talking about playing, remember, I'm good at math and science in school. And I'm half decent at English. So I would have my homework done most days coming home. So when I came home, I was just like, Mom, I'm done. Boom, down to the room. Wow. And it was like until dinner, and then after dinner, until my parents were like, literally, you got to go to bed. And I had an acoustic drum kit. So again, the patience on that woman was insane. So, but it was what built the foundation for my ability to play with music. And I, even in my own teaching plot now, I know that reading sheet music and learning drums in both ways is very important. I try to be like I always want my drummers to be a dual threat drummer where they can read. The theory and the ear? The theory and the ear. Because it's like learning, if I went and learned Spanish tomorrow, but never spoke it with anybody, never went to Mexico or Spain and never applied it, why would I learn the language? What's the point? So same thing, music is a language. If you're gonna learn it, you're gonna spend that much time doing Rosetta Stone, taking lessons and all this other stuff with drumming. Why are you not exercising the point? And then on top of that, I find, the passions with it that come. So and I was going through all these different bands and I just couldn't stop playing. My auntie on my mom's side, she gave me a couple Prince records. And that was the first time I heard John Blackwell Jr., which is one of my drumming idols. And it was just like, I was like, yes. And so I was very diversified due to the church, playing gospel stuff, due to my parents cool with me playing any kind of grunge rock, right? Because it was right in the 90s, baby. I was living and alive in the 90s, right?
Right in the pocket.
Yeah, exactly. And then having that side of like Prince and listening to like more session type music and pop. Man, looking back at it now is super fortunate because too many people I talk to or teach, they got blinders on.
Oh yeah, and
anything outside of metal sucks, or anything outside of pop sucks, or anything else. I'm like, okay.
Well, it's one of the things I love about Properman. One of the things I love about Properman is that it's hard to throw you into any one particular genre or subgenre. You guys will play. Your style is you have no style almost.
Yeah, it kind of was. I don't know if I would even word it like that. And the reason why was because the music list I got when I first started, and this comes back to that first rehearsal with them, I was kind of scared, doubly scared, because the music I had listened to, now had come out of some, I'd been on Vans Warped Tour with some bands. I had done a lot of heavy punk rock and even post-hardcore work with some bands. So for me to come out of that and go, this is like new wave, and the toms are triggered and everything sounds. And their drummer previous to them was more of wording this correctly so it doesn't sound slanderous. He was just very much using the triggers. It was quieter drummer, more reserved in that kind of pocket feel with the it just fit the new wave thing a little bit more. So when I came in, I felt a little bit. And I still do to this day, but Jason is very gracious with it and honestly loves where we're going with it. He really does. He keeps telling me this, and that's, I don't know if he's telling me this to make myself feel good or not, but he does tell me the sound is getting heavier. I came in and he's like, be you. So Properman, when you hear songs like I Drink or Pub Night, they sound drastically different than You, Me, and OMD or some of these bigger songs. And that's really, guilty as charged, I guess. I just came in and I was like,
you come on you.
Because I'm like, I told him from the get-go, I could pull back. I have session work background in me. I can do all these things. But there was just an element of the animal on stage type of thing that I assumed that he liked. And again, you can ask him further on this. But for me, it was just the ability to be me on stage. And I think that's really what you're seeing at the end of the day. Because growing up in church, I was told often, hey,
conform,
pull it back. You're a little loud. And I was always a loud drummer. I just always was. And it wasn't a dynamic issue. I don't think, it was early on for sure. And then I got education. I got my edumacation in the old dynamics and drumming. And I learned how to play with feel and balance and all this other stuff. But Just the music is just specifically wired and geared, and I don't know if Jason showed you some of the new stuff we've got, but it's just
Oh yeah, I'm gonna ask you.
big anthemic music. Sorry, yeah, I get the
No,
head
no,
on the
no, no.
interview. But yeah, so at the end of the day, man, I grew up with parents who loved me and cared about the direction of which I wanted to do music and life in general. They just wanted me to be happy. My dad grew up in gangs. He ran away at 13, did the gang thing with his brother. My mom ran away from home at 16 due to a terrible, terrible family situation. They could have been completely dysfunctional, but they rallied and turned it into something where, again, speaking to that awareness and taking care of me. And then when I met Kristen, who's now my wife of, do the math, Justin, really quick, 8 to 22, 16 years.
Carry the 3.
Love you,
Yeah.
sweetheart.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just bad at the math thing. A drummer says that, right? She's not gonna believe that. Anyway, my beautiful wife, whom I met in 2006 and has been with, she's my ride or die.
Yeah.
She also has a similar situation where she moves in that, where it's just like people should be who they want to be and really just lean into the awareness of letting people be who they want to be and love and support them for that. And if you can't do that, what are we doing?
Well, okay, I've gotta, because I mean, you've mentioned this in 2 or 3 different ways. The fact that your parents allowed you to do this, the fact that your band, you know, you came into this band, and I think a lot of men out there today are in a place, we're in a post-Me Too world where there's a lot of guys who are feeling the need to conform. For whatever reason, whether it's fear of keeping a job, whether it's fear of the past, whether it's whatever that might be, you know. But there's this part where it's like, no, you got to conform, and you know, you coming into Properman saying, oh yeah, you know, I'd be willing to conform, and then the opposite though was like, no,
be you.
You go be you, and we'll see how you being you adds a dimension. An extra dimension, something different. And I think that that's what we as men need to do. I mean, we need to be able to hear.
Yes.
We need to be able to hear what's going on, what's happened, you know, the ramifications of things. But at the same time, we're not going to make the world a better place if we're also just conforming. So we need to hear, but we also need to be us, and we need to move forward. That's what I'm hearing with...
and even the conforming thing for me with the music was always... That was just me being sensitive to what they had going on. I was coming in as I was on their turf until it was probably really fairly quickly. The band's kind of got a crazy history since I had joined, because Nori's wife had gone through a severe medical situation, so he wasn't able to do many shows, but he flew back for just one show, and it was that first show that we did in May. It was May 4th, 2019. Remember it still to this, like acutely remember it. And it was this little house party. Well, I want to say little, but Jay's house, like in that basement, that was like, it was 88 people in there, something just under 90 people. And that was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm part of the band now. But they always made me feel welcome. It wasn't that, it was for my own, making sure that I fit. And I was like, okay, I'm right for this band. That's why I fit. And it was never a thing of, okay, they're making me feel like I fit. Dude, they put on like a feast the first rehearsal. I said, holy crap. Like, so they got the pool out, they got the whole feast thing going on. Everybody's just chilling. We hung out. I've never been in a band where we just hung out for like 2 hours before we even played any music. Yeah. I'm like, what is this? But this is exactly where I need to be. Because not only is it good for my own soul and mentality, but it's something that I feel like I can openly be myself and bring to the others as well, and the family members from them. So everybody's family. Like, you know, I love, Ange and Nikki and Kristen and Christy just as much as I love the boys. Like, it's all one just tight-knit family with this group. So I don't know, man. I always say being in this band is like playing Nintendo with a Game Genie.
Oh, wow.
Bands got their own venue. Yeah. I don't have to ever pack up. And any drummer out there, you know, right? I'm gonna leave my sticks back there.
Yeah. This is the greatest home ice advantage of any band.
I mean, come on, man, right?
Yeah.
And then, but here's the thing: is as wonderful as all this is, that's not even what I'm talking about. It's that chemistry and it's that family first, band second thing that we've been able to keep effortlessly and naturally through this whole sequence. And I don't know, man. It just gets me like borderline emotional because I'm. And so again, probably coming back to this a lot because my brain will but that's when I get up there. All of those things, I don't think of them acutely individually. They come in as one like thought and one ball of thought, and it's just like, all right, we're going to war. This is happening. I'm not leaving that stage until I play, because in any given, if I play, we had a recording, I played 98 minutes the other night. We played 98-minute show. I'll play, I don't know what the math would be on that, probably close to like over 100,000 notes in a show.
Yep.
Okay, I don't know if that's like over or under, but I want to nail as many of those 100,000 notes correctly as possible. Why? Not because I come off sounding like God or perfect, nothing like that. No, because then it makes Petrie's job easier. It makes Travis's job easier. It makes, Nori and Jason's job easier. And they're all proud of what they're a part of. And we all do that.
As a band, you guys have been there for each other, and you are actively there for each other.
Yeah.
What are some ways that you've been there for each other? And you don't have to get too specific if you don't want to, but and is this part of that magic that you were talking about? You've been part of different bands and different, musical iterations for your whole life. Is it always like that, or is it this band special where it's like, oh my God, we are there for each other? Because you guys have been there for each other in multiple ways. You referred to Nori's situation, how you guys all rally for each other.
Yeah.
It seems that you will all rally for each other. If ever one of you is in a weakened position, the rest of you rally for that person.
Yeah, and
accurate?
Accurate, absolutely accurate. One of us was, and I'm going to keep it that vague, one of us was going through a medical situation a couple years ago, and it was affecting his ability to just feel normal, sleep, do anything. And we gave him the time, patience, everything we needed just to let him get through it until he got his surgery. And when he got his surgery, he bounced back and he's great. And it's like things like that. It was a no-brainer. It wasn't like let's move on. Let's go get someone else in the band at that position or whatever. It was just like, no, like, let's ride this out with him. Let's get him, get him the help he needs. And Jay did extraordinary stuff even just to get that surgery day happening and moved up and stuff. And so I'll keep it vague again just because it's not my place to necessarily speak, and that's a protection thing for my boys as well. But at the end of the day, that was something that happened, and it was just like things like that. Or when we were recording the album, there was a few drum parts that I really liked, things like that, where I was super proud of it, but it didn't fit and serve the song, and it made the other parts maybe look a bit weaker or disjointed in areas. Take them out. And it's not like, fine, take them out. Like, it was like, no, take them out, please. Like, I insist. Like, does not serve the song. It doesn't, it should never serve me. It only serves the song. So things like that. As far as like day-to-day stuff, I've made trips out here or out wherever to come and take care of something, even though I live like, on the opposite side from here. And that's just from my end. I mean, guys have been there for me through and through, hear me out. As you know, with Nori and I's relationship, he's just always been for there. But like, I sometimes will text Jay and some of the other guys randomly, just be like, hey, love you. You're 1,000% an absolute beauty. Don't forget that. And things like that, I feel, are important to do with ones that you love, and just quick reminders, because you don't know where they're at in their day and their week. We don't always get a chance to talk every single day. Like, I mean, Nori and I do, just because we work together.
Sure.
I mean, I'm sick of that guy. You can but you don't always get, you don't know. And I've texted Jay that before, and he's texted back and goes like, your timing is incredible. How would I know that? Like, and I'm not pulling something out of my hat. All I'm doing is I'm just going, hey, thinking about you, you're amazing. Love you. That's it. So things like that, we're all very good at doing. It is.
It's a brotherhood, for sure.
I can't imagine, and I don't know, we could never, I don't think we could ever add. We're looking at, I don't want to cat out of the bag it here, but there's a project that we're thinking of doing, side project, Properman's still doing something, doing a side project, we might add another member, another person, but even when we were talking about that, I was like, because this is so acutely its own thing, it just felt like it was almost weird to hear it or hear, and the guys coming in is amazing, but it's just a different project thing that we're doing on the side. And it just kind of showed me like I could never I could never imagine any single member being replaced or changed out. I'd feel freaking weird. Case in point, we shot a music video for one of our new songs, The Fort, the other day.
Yep.
Petri couldn't make it. He was physically like not in Kelowna. So we shot his parts without him, a lot of green screening and things like that.
Yep.
And then he shot his part separately. And it felt, I don't know, the shoot was great, but it felt weird.
It was incomplete.
And I know it sounds goofy, almost like, but that's that vulnerable thing where you need to be able to talk about that stuff, because that toxic masculinity thing where it's like, it's just one of your bros is gone, like get over it, bro. Like, you know, don't sound, I don't want to say some of these words, but like, you know, toughen up. Like, you don't need all your boys. I'm like, you know what? I love hanging with Petri. It felt weird. I didn't like it. If you got a problem with that, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I feel bad for you, because then if that's the way that your brain is wired, someone's obviously affected you enough years, and I'm probably segueing this now into some of this where we're at as a society. But
yeah, you're kind of a pro. You're kind of a pro. Like, okay, so when
they don't give me a mic, can you believe this? Like, I had no microphone back. I got ones for my drums, nothing from unreal.
When we showed up that night, you guys were in the dimmer amber room, and Jason introduced and said, okay, there's this thing called, he changed it, it's being built here, and they want to do a feature on Properman, and just talking about the idea of men's mental wellness and trying to be an aid there, trying to be a solution, trying to be all these things. The band, I cannot articulate well enough how lit up all of you were
100%.
And instantaneously in. What about, what he changed is doing, this whole idea of what we're doing here with it? What appealed to you guys so much about that, to you personally?
To me personally, my whole life, career, and being as a human being is to be as kind and open and communicative with people as possible, and make them feel like they belong. What is the one thing that everybody wants, right? They want to feel like they belong.
Very much so.
And that can so acutely play a role into where they are mentally. I'm saying it's the only thing, but it can play a massive role. You could have 1,000 friends and still feel lonely.
You could be the loneliest man in the room, be surrounded by people like that. Absolutely.
And so
absolutely.
It's unique to think that, like, without that, what do we have as people? What's inside of us? And then you take the very real situation outside of that, is that the mental situations and hurdles that people have. Some of the closest people in my life have anxiety and depression or ADHD, which can drive on their anxiety and things like that. It's very real. And so when I hear people blow it off and go, oh, it's not real, I can't believe that we're just getting to this now in the last 10 years, let's say, or 5 years maybe, where it's like, no, we should talk about this. Because, hearing some of these stories, I was moved. There was a local guy, I used to watch the Canucks, Corey Hirsch.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've interviewed him or shit.
Not yet,
but his story is insane.
Yep.
And things like that. But could you imagine, like, and this is where I guess I am thankful for where I am now, and that's why I try to be such an advocate for it, is because when he was sitting on the edge of that cliff with that car, like, who was he going to talk to? Because most of the guys probably would have been like, this is kind of weird, bro. Like, you just suck it up. Like, we grew up in a suck it up generation. As someone who played hockey as a kid, I very acutely remember the suck it up generation. Oh, your head hit the back of the post and you knocked yourself, you're fine, get back in the game. You go through this, or you're going through some life stuff, you're fine, suck it up. And then people always pair it and like, oh, well, this guy has it worse and he's fine. Is he? Why are we comparing this to, that person's situation has to be taken seriously, that situation. And it taken to the point where I just want people to feel comfortable to talk to me about stuff. If I've just met you or if I've known you for 1,000 years, I want you to be able to talk to me about those things. So for you to come in, when you're talking about He Changed It, I started looking at the app, I started to understand what you guys are doing. Yes, because here are the two most common things in the world. At some point today, we're all going to open our app, go to Instagram, Twitter, whatever, right? We're going to open our apps. To have an app and to have something that's so accessible to everybody that allows them, and I love, brilliant, by the way, at the beginning, how are you feeling? Like, Like it was like, you know, that sort of thing, you know, and it was like that, but that's serious because if you were like, hey, how are you feeling? How are you? That toxic masculinity starts to like, no, I'm not doing this. This is something from the Women's Network or something. It's not that. We can be guys and talk about our problems. Yeah. But there's so much acute hurt and there's so much acute abuse that's happened and run rampant, whether it's a parent, whether it's trauma, a mentor, whether it's a teacher, whether it's, you imagine growing up your whole life. And I honestly sometimes don't even know how I came out of that because I had coaches like that. And I do know how I did. It was my parents, 100%, because my parents were always there for me. But I've had friends who grew up and it was just like, how you came out still believing in yourself and being there for people is nothing short of a miracle, and it needs to be pointed out because, oh my God, like we really need to start talking about stuff. And then people always take it to, and here's the issue with it for me is that people are taking it to such extremes, right? So it's like the second is like, hey, men should be able to talk about stuff. And then all of a sudden people like twist it and turn it to such an extreme. It's like, well, why doesn't everybody just have a mental illness? Why doesn't everybody just have this? And everybody's all like, let's all just suck it up, okay? Like you can hear the hurt from some people's voices. Unfortunately, these people are in positions of power because other people follow them. Like, I mean, look at the influencer generation where you got guys like Andrew Tate, and I'm like, why? Like, what? Like, I don't know. I'm just, you know, I didn't want to come onto this interview and start naming names about people. I'm just saying, like, there is a circle of people. You know, if you ever want to feel bad about yourself, just go on Instagram and search up like the regular posts, and you see what houses you don't have, what cars you don't own, what money you don't have, what house you don't have. You're missing a few abs. You don't have that girl, girl. You don't have this, you don't have that. You're not on a beach in Costa Rica somewhere. Like you just filled it violently with what you don't have. So if you're already in a bad place, or you're dealing with some stuff, and especially during a holiday season, the pressure and the impact on everything. I mean, I can't imagine how some people function. So to have an app, I think everybody needs to be aware of this app. And it sounds like a big sell, but it's really not. It just is a very honest place for me to come from where I'm like, there's a few friends in my life who are no longer with me because they took their own lives that I know would still be here today if they had something like that. And that's a big statement. But I knew what they were going through, and as much as I reached out and wanted to reach out further and everything else, you can only do so much. And one thing my dad always taught me that was super critical is that you can only help people that want to be helped. They have to be in a place. But the problem with that is that, and not with that statement, but the problem then is people are so acutely hurt and abused that they don't know how to even ask for it. Mm-hmm. So to maybe have an app where they don't have to talk to anybody or admit to anybody an app that I'm going through I'm in the dumps, I'm going through some stuff, and a step-by-step guide to help them get back on their feet or find the help or at least communicate it to other people is everything.
Getting it out, pouring out the glass, right? That's what we call it all the time. Like when the glass gets full of stuff, all it takes is one little drop to spill out and make a mess on the table. But if you have a place that you can empty it out, and emptying it out is so simple, but it's the hardest thing in the world because of some of the things that you've mentioned here. And I appreciate hearing this very, very, very much because people will look many times at guys in a band. You know, you talk about opening up that Instagram, seeing you guys, holy it's amazing. But it's like, oh, that could never be me, and part of the reason why you guys were such a I just there are no coincidences, and doing this feature on Properman, even the name of the band, you know, just the way the synergy, as I've learned about all of you individually, and then watched you as a cohesive unit as well. It's such a powerful metaphor, allegory, whatever you want to call it, for what things could be. Yes. And I mean, you've seen it on both sides. Again, you know, the literal, you've seen the toxic side of being in toxic bands or toxic situations when it comes to music. 100%. But then you've seen it this other way too, where you've got this vulnerable place where you're all there for each other, and doing it right, doing it healthy. Totally. As we start to move towards the close here, the song Bloodless. Yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be
You
a
know,
banger.
you know, you guys haven't performed it yet.
No.
That song, what is it? What does the song "Bloodless" mean to you?
Pushing through what life will want to constantly throw at you, whether it be small or large. You could compare, you know, look at Nori's situation a few years back. His, you know, Kristen's situation got so bad, and he is in a true traumatic and true situation of fighting through a very big and very real thing that anybody on earth would be sympathetic to.
Absolutely. Your wife's mortality,
Exactly.
which you guys have, again, talked about on stage.
Yeah.
You know, and thank goodness we're on the other side of it now,
Sure.
and it's some good things to talk about
100%.
and all that. You know, the last night of his beard.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you look at something like Nori's situation where anybody that's not a complete subhuman piece of trash would be completely understanding and be like, oh my God, people will rally, everything else. But as you go down, less severity, but still very real scenario, I'm not mentally doing well. I can't communicate it. I can't explain it, but I really need help and I feel like I'm drowning. There's an elephant foot on my chest. I can't breathe. I'm going through this. I can't see a way out. People become less sympathetic about it. And I'm not trying to slander humanity here or whatever, but you very much know that it's not, people aren't doing a GoFundMe for stuff like that or rallying around people, giving sympathy, trying to bring, you know, what can I do? Can I bring you a dinner tonight? Can I take you out? Can I take care of you? What can I do?
Yes.
Bloodless to me encompasses whether you're going through something extreme like with what Nori went through, or just as extreme but much quieter as to some of either the friends I've lost or people I've known that have gone, and what people are going through on a daily basis. And there's so much of us going through, and I think the age of technology and seeing this all the time, seeing what you don't have and seeing what you lack in life, is done in such a passively yet such an aggressive way, that you just feel like you're never going to get out of this blender and you're getting sucked deeper and deeper and your only way out is what, right? So Bloodless to me is like, you need to scream, you need to yell, you need to reach, you need to communicate, you need to fight, you need to punch a wall, you need to do whatever you can to fight, right? Because you cannot succumb and give to that. And for that to be a reality, you need to let somebody know, you need to communicate with somebody. To me, Bloodless is that, because you feel the power of it. I haven't done many songs, like every song that I've been a part of from the band was about half of, maybe 60% of 40 Elephant songs. And a lot of the heavier drum stuff, yeah, you can kind of start to identify the stuff I've been, but this album specifically, I like the intro to it again. Have you heard it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just like, I literally in the studio stood up and like just absolutely, like I just leaned into the drums, like trying to.
The
like
first, like that.
I beat them like they owed me money, right? Like it was all about that power. And Travis is such a prince with like knowing, he's such a wizard. He just knows how to get the sounds open to a level like, it's like listening to Tom Lord Allergy, like record, like it's just, the power and the drive behind this song, this thing needs to come out punching. I want a song that can resonate with people where they can punch, cry, scream, and just feel and express through it, live or in their own house or wherever in their car, but have an outcome where they can go, all right, I showed emotion to this. Yeah. I'm not slipping, because I think the most dangerous thing with mental health is when people become emotionless and people start to fade away and fade out altogether. It's not so much the people that are always yelling and screaming and boisterous about their situations. The people that get quiet, I've found in history where it's like, there's some, that's when shit's real, excuse my French. And so for Bloodless, it's just I just hope it's a song that somebody could listen to and just be like, I'm either gonna go work out or I'm gonna do something for myself where I just wanna punch, scream, cry, kick, yell, whatever, and emotionally do that. To a point, sorry, I know I'm probably going over here.
No, we're good.
To a point, when I get on that stage, I'm going to war with my boys, there's 140 people in here from different walks of life, all going through different things in life. I could not possibly know what all of those things are in one show. But I hope that one thing I might do on that stage is leave them feeling better and more hopeful towards life. At least happy. It really is why what you see from me is so consistent. You said you've seen 10 shows.
At least,
Any one of those 10 shows, have I looked like I mailed it in mentally or emotionally?
No.
And I refuse to. People that are going through way worse than me are coming here and they need something. They need anything. And if I can just simply, and it's drums, but think about it. How many of us listen to music? How many people walk this earth where music's a part of their life? Okay, so therapy, right? So then if my drumming can give them just a little bit of a nudge in the direction of like, holy shit, I forgot about my problems tonight. I had such a good night. Feeling maybe more hopeful. I met somebody in the band. I know I've tread carefully with that statement because it's like, I don't think that anybody is any more important than anyone else. And I know when I get off the stage, sometimes people are always like, you are and people treat me like almost
you climb
as if,
off the
and I'm
pedestal
like,
really quickly. Like if somebody tries to do that, you're not even.
Yeah, no, because my biggest pet peeve in life is when people act like they're better than everybody else or anybody else, really, for that matter. We are all equal on this earth. Absolutely. We are here to enjoy as many days as we are given and try to enjoy it with those that we love and try to build on the people who we love.
I'm going to set the stage and tell a story. At one of the shows that I saw, at the end of the show, you brought somebody very special on stage, and you put them behind your kit.
Yeah.
And there's some special need there.
Jays, yeah, Jays is.
And I don't want to. Yeah, okay.
No, Jays and Suki, his mom, beautiful people. Jays is Down syndrome.
Yeah.
And he came to me about 3 years ago, and his mom's like, we've tried getting him lessons before, and teachers haven't really been able to work with them. I have some history in education and being able to work with special needs kids. And I said, yeah, let's give it a shot. I actually have a TV in my classroom so that I can teach them visually. Because with Down syndrome kids, you can actually teach them quite effectively if you give them a visualization to follow along with.
Well, there you
They're
go.
not big on sheet music. They're not going to process
Sure.
like we do in that scenario. But let me tell you something really quickly. People with Down syndrome are the most beautiful, open, loving people that I've ever met. And the positivity that exudes from them on such a consistent basis, if we could tap into that in our own lives, I seriously, I might be hyperbolic, but I feel like we could fix humanity in ways.
Oh yeah.
Because Jays is such a happy kid. He loves drumming and he loves Michael Jackson. And so Jonathan Moffat's got music videos of him, which is Michael Jackson's drummer, and he plays along with Jonathan Moffat, which he could play along with me, and he does.
Yep.
But he plays to somebody who's his hero, and he plays the Michael Jackson song. And over 3 years, you heard him play.
Yep.
He's good.
Okay, so after you guys finished, you brought him up on stage, and the whole crowd stuck around.
I wasn't prepared for.
Oh,
that was incredible.
I've got video. I don't know if you've guys seen the video of it. I've got the video of it.
I blew my mind because Jays came up and he goes, buddy Justen, can I play your drums? And I'm like, yeah. Because I'm like anybody.
He calls you Buddy Justen.
He calls me Buddy Justen every time. So he goes, Buddy Justen, can I play your drums? And I said, yes, Jays. And I know two things with Jays is that if I say yes to him, he's going to play for the next hour and a half. And secondly is that he's not going to hold back. He's just going to go. He's got probably something in his head and he's going to play along with it. And he's
but then you
just
put him in
crazy.
this environment, in this room. Sorry to interrupt, but you put him in this room with that energy after you guys just played.
Yeah.
And he got up there and went for it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And everyone
People
was
fed
screaming
off of
and
it.
yelling.
Yeah.
Oh, very much so.
That was the coolest thing for me and what I wasn't expecting. What I was expecting is, and maybe it was a negative way to expect this, but I was expecting if people were after maybe 10 minutes or something, Jay was going to be like, okay, well, let's wind this down because people are drinking and they're going to have some. Yeah, like, no, none of that happened. That whole place like started rocking. We're standing there. I'm like, it meant so much to me because I was like, yes, this is what we can be as a society. This is what this can look like. And I really don't believe that they were cheering for him because he had Down syndrome.
No.
I really believe the fact that this kid just got up and started rocking.
Yeah.
Because and what does music do for all of us? What can it do for us? It can bring us together.
Everything.
Everything.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
for me to see that response was like, special too because I know how much work he's put in. So for him to see that response, it's funny because he's got such this natural confidence. Like he was expecting it. I assume that he was waiting for like a 10-minute standing O, but such a sweet kid. So he gets to the end and finally peels off. People freaking losing their mind.
Yep.
Most memorable part of the night.
It was fantastic.
And I wouldn't have it any other way. I love that.
As we bring it to a close, Justen, you are a proper man.
Yes.
I appreciate you. You're a member of the band as a proper man, but the way that you live your life as an example, you're a proper man. And I appreciate that very, very much about you. Is there anything you want to finish on here? Is there anything that is left unsaid?
If you've stumbled or come across this video or you're watching it and you're feeling not right or in a vulnerable place, please download that app. Please reach out to somebody because, there are toxic people, I'm sure, in your life. Everybody has the toxic people around them that won't listen. But I promise you there's going to be a couple people that will lend an ear. And at the very least, these guys here at He Changed It, they're not playing. They'll lend their ear to you, and they'll give you more than just an ear. They'll give you a path to getting back on your feet because there's nothing masculine about not talking about what you're going through and hiding what you're doing. That is a complete fairy tale, and it's an awful one. Be strong in who you are, and being strong in who you are is being vulnerable and talking about what you're going through. When you're at your weakest, that's when you can be your strongest, and that's when you reach out. So I really please encourage you to talk, to reach out, to call somebody and download this app because it is very simple and easy to use. It sounds like a sell, but it's very easy to use. I was blown away with just how simple it was. 2 buttons right off the rip. How you feeling? Great. Feel like just go there and take it from there. And it's just like, because nobody's better than anybody else, no matter what Instagram tells you. When you wake up in the morning, you have as much value as Elon Musk does, okay? Like it's anybody else. Everybody is equal. Everybody has equal value. That includes you. So no matter where you're feeling and where you're at in life and how hard things have gotten against you, you're valuable and you have so much to give to other people around you. You just can't see it right now. So fight to get to the position where you can see it. That's what I have to say.